I think it's pretty safe to say that in almost any year, we antagonize more over our fertilizer decisions than just about anything else on our operation. What's going to be the right rate for this year? What do our budgets support? And how much can I afford to spend? All go into making those decisions along with yield goals and cropping intentions and everything else that goes along with it. So, when I look at all those things together, it's really difficult right now in the middle of harvest to think about those decisions linearly all the way through and have all of those considerations in factor when I decide rates, crops, and marketing structure that lead to my fertility decisions. So today, I want to try to help you decompress some of those things, and let's break it down and look at our major nutrient spends and how we go about deciding what the right budget is for nutrients this next fall, and along with that, what our crop actually needs, and maybe most importantly at all, what we're putting at risk if we decide to cut back to zero. I'm Keith Byerly, Precision Ag Manager at Central Valley Ag, and this is your agronomy focus video that corresponds with my article on the CVA website. So let's start with nitrogen. If I look at our nitrogen decisions out there, it's usually a pretty sacred decision because when corn turns yellow, nobody's happy. But at the same time, nitrogen is our biggest fertilizer expense that we're going to incur next year. So if I look at an irrigated corn grower, somebody out there with a 240 or greater yield goal, we're probably going to be talking about 200 pounds of nitrogen, all the while making more decisions. What's the appropriate nitrogen factor? Is it 0.8, is it 1.1, or is it somewhere in between? Now, once that decision's made, we have to decide if that's a place where we feel safe making cuts. If I look at nitrogen and I look at making a 10% cut to our nitrogen program next year, that's only a 20-pound difference in nitrogen. For that 20 pounds that we're going to go out there and save though, we're looking at a cost that only equates to 3 to 4 bushels of corn. Is it really worth the risk to put 3 or 4 bushel of corn up against the yield potential that goes with that? That's the kind of decisions we need to think about in nitrogen. The same thing applies when we move on to phosphorus. When I look at an irrigated corn crop next year, the appropriate spend is going to be somewhere around $40 an acre for phosphorus looking at this corn crop and the prepay prices as of today. With those prices, if I had made the decision to cut my phosphorus rate back by 50% next year, that would only equate to about 6 bushels of corn at October 2019 prices. With that price difference out there, is it really worth cutting back? That's where you've got to look at your soil fertility levels. If I have soil fertility levels that are by and large 20 or below, that's probably not a gamble that I'm safe taking, let alone cutting that rate back to zero for a 13 bushel savings. So look at those things and balance it out. Now, when we move on to potassium, it gets to be much more difficult to have rules of thumb and generalities in that arena. When we look at potassium, it's different for everybody and how we approach it. But if we look at doing full crop removal on potassium next year, we're looking about a $20 spend. That $20, again, equates to about a 3 bushel an acre difference at current market prices looking forward. So, are we comfortable risking that savings of $20 against a 3 bushel cost? We have to balance it again on that level. Now, when I move on to sulfur, I'm going to take that one off the board for you. You need to stick with your sulfur program regardless of what the economic conditions are. You and your agronomist have the best idea what to do there. So, at the end of the day, I talk a lot in generalities because these are decisions that are best made with you and your trusted advisor. But think about it as that risk reward that we've talked about all day. If I cut back my fertilizer application by X many dollars, I'm jeopardizing how much in yield, all to save X many bushels. Usually you'll find with these fertilizer decisions that the 3 to 6 bushel it costs to put that fertilizer on next year are far less than the costs that we have if something happens with yield. So put all those pieces together, work with your trusted advisor, and think through these decisions while you're in the combine cab before you make the decision on how much to spread or not spread this fall.